Thank you for joining us. Today we sit down with Mike Rodriguez, an inspirational powerlifter and a true gentleman, someone who is so passionate about powerlifting and in particular the nuances of equipped powerlifting, particularly for master lifters. If you're considering equipped lifting, then this episode is definitely for you. We're very grateful to have Mike back on the show to share more insights and experiences and also to chat about his upcoming year. Welcome to Coffee and Conversations with Champions, the Powerlifting Edition. Got it, you good. All right, cool. Excellent. That's quite a serious rig at the back, Mike.
Oh, it's my new Alico rack.
Okay. That's very, very cool. Sure. That's epic. There we go. Perfect. Okay. What's it like?
Oh, I love it. It has the integrated cable system. It's
Okay.
the Alico Prestera.
Right.
They're half rack. And I bought just about every option you could get with it.
Is it like speccing out a Raptor?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
I'm hoping the depreciation isn't as much on my rack as it was on my Raptor.
It doesn't lose 30% value after the first squat.
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, that's fun. So, how have you been? How's everything been going?
Really good. Everybody our age, I shouldn't say our age, my age, there's little health things that pop up here and there.
Yep.
You got to deal with. Some are, are coming, some are unexpected. But the Lord's blessed me. I'm standing right now. So I woke up this morning and got to, I live out in the country on my little ranch and,
right.
I'm good.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. How has the lifting been so far for the end of last year, and then we'll chat about what you're planning for this year?
Really good. I made, I don't know, have you heard of Jimmy Kolb or Cobb? Kolb? Oops. What happened here?
Mike, that's a South African thing with the load shedding. That's not an American thing.
Well, again, I live out in the country, and whenever the weather gets kind of weird,
right.
This past winter, we went a couple days without electricity or water.
Wow. Okay.
But anyways, Jimmy Cobb, he broke the equipped bench world record. He did 1401.
Okay.
Not in IPF. It's multiply.
Right.
But I started in September. I bought his program.
Right.
And immediately put around 20 keys onto my, I shouldn't say immediate. Over the 10-week program cycle, I put on 20 keys on my equipped bench.
Wow. Sure. Okay.
It didn't all translate to the most recent meet. We just had bench nationals here.
Yes.
And part of that was my fault. My younger son came home from college for Christmas, and I just assumed that he knew how to spot me the way his older brother spots me on a regular basis. And we had like 210 kilos on the bar for bench, and he gave me a bad lift out. And basically trashed both of my shoulders so bad. I mean, my right shoulder was so bad I couldn't pick my arm up. Well, when I first heard it, I'm like, we got it. Or he lifted it part way out. How I injured it was bringing it the rest of the way out.
Okay.
Because he just let it go. So I'm like 200 kilos trying to bring it vertical.
Wow.
And then, like a knucklehead, I tried to go ahead and bench it and got about halfway down. And then I'm like, take it, take it. So, of course, I didn't even stop there. I like stripped the weight, did some other, lighter, and did some other work. And yeah, so then that night I couldn't sleep. I was just in so much pain, and I held off for like 3 days, and then finally, I'm like, I got to go to the doctor. So,
Okay.
anyways, dealt with that. Been doing some physical therapy, and then just the weight cut, because this past, again, reading what a lot, we're always in the learning mode in
Yeah.
powerlifting, always trying to figure a way to get stronger.
Right.
And so all these guys, these successful lifters, are like, look, if you want to get strong, you got to put on weight.
Yeah.
And I had been one of those people that stayed within a pound or 2 pounds of my competition weight, and then couldn't understand why I wasn't getting any stronger. So I did, after right after bench worlds last year, I went to Powerlifting America full nationals, and on the way home I got super ill, because I only had like 2 days between landing back in the U.S. and competing in full nationals.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, so when we got to the airport to fly to Phoenix, um, I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. I was really bad. So um, we the day one of nationals was classic, and I did that, and all I did was openers, and not even openers. Like I did like 70-kilo squat, 70
Okay.
kilo bench, and 70-kilo deadlift. Then the next day was equipped, and so I was able to get 2 attempts out in each lift, and it still won my weight class,
Okay.
but way below my normal numbers. And then I didn't compete again until last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Okay.
But so anyways, I watching, like, trying to get better, and like, you know what, let me add some weight, let me gain some weight. So gained weight, and I attribute it to the weight gain, and then picking up Jimmy's bench program
Mm-mm.
to really increasing my bench. So here in my garage, I've done back before I injured my shoulders, I did a 210 kilo bench, equipped in my the Inverbolt shirt that I use for
Okay.
training. And so I was really like pumped for bench nationals coming up. But I over dieted, and then again, once I hurt my shoulders, um, a couple days before Christmas, and then just since then, I couldn't do anything for a few days because I was just in too much pain. And then once I started back, it was all just very maintenance. There was no like, okay, I can't get stronger. I'm just going to try to not lose too much strength,
Okay.
and that was my goal.
Right.
And so, anyways, it was a great weekend. I had, of course, registered for the meet before I got hurt,
Okay.
and my classic bench was I had done 150 and felt I could be doing more.
Okay.
So I'm like, I'm going to go for the gusto, and then I get hurt, and of course you can't get a refund. So I showed up, and
Yeah.
it for my weight class, it was a great meet, because the top 4 placings, we were all former world champs.
Okay, fantastic.
And
Sure.
so in class, I took second. The guy that won, of course, he was a former world champ and super good guy, Mike Hara.
Right.
I'm sure some old timers, if they watch your thing, they will have heard of him. My first time meeting him was that day in the warm up room, and but just a great guy. And then the next day, here I don't know if it's South Africa is the same way. We do classic one day and then equip the next.
Okay. Yeah.
So the next day I went in and I guess I used a little more gas out of the tank than I expected on classic. So I won on equip day. The top 3 guys we were all former world champs as well in equipped, and so it was fun. It was a good competition. I had a better day than the other guys did. I was blessed. I won by 20 kilos.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so I was, I was really happy. I think if I hadn't done the classic the day prior, I had at least another 10 kilos. I would have had another 10 kilos in the tank.
Okay.
Because just my last, even though I was hurt, my last heavy bench, equipped bench before the meet was like 10 days before the meet, and I had done a pretty solid 175. But I only went for my last attempt at nationals was 165.
Okay.
So, but you live and you learn, and
yep.
It was a good experience, and I think we've got a good foundation. Got a few months to try to improve our numbers and for worlds, and
right.
Going to see the physical therapist tomorrow. Get my shoulders worked on, so that I'm excited.
So you are doing some responsible adult stuff.
Not a lot, but
a little bit, enough, 100%. Well, that's fantastic. So now, you guys are hosting Worlds this year for bench, so that's going to be very, very cool. What are you planning for that comp?
I
was going to say, can we talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, because it's I want to try to go for the world record. That was my hope for last year, but the strength. I don't think I was I'm in a better position this year. I think even with my shoulders kind of not cooperating right now. They've definitely gotten better.
Okay.
They're still pain there, but nowhere near what it was. And so I'm getting ready to start a strength block. Or this week was I'm starting my strength block.
Right.
And so yeah, that's my goal. And I just got to do on the platform what I've done here in the gym, and because it doesn't count here. It only counts what you do on the platform.
Only on the platform. So, that's It's I had an athlete in the gym this morning, and we were doing heavy negatives. So we had about 220 on the bar. So powerlifters and coaches will understand this. So he got it down beautifully under control, and then I had to help him on the way up. But on the last rep of that, he completely lost it. So I had to actually dip my legs in to sort of do a 220 deadlift and a bit of a curl. So I got it up, got it on, and I said to him, "So how much did you help me there?"
Yeah.
Usually that question's the other way around when the athlete doesn't
Yeah.
trust how much did you help me? So that was a lot of fun. How have you found the weight gain sort of affecting has it helped the shoulder recovery, do you think?
I think so. I mean, granted, it's only been it's what been not 10 days since national
Okay.
bench nationals,
Mm,
and I'm like I weighed myself this morning. I was 169 pounds, so like
mm.
76 kilos.
You okay?
Um, but yeah, I mean. I just think like last week not really doing anything. I just did
Okay.
some light work,
Right.
light squats. What I find right now that's bothering me, like yesterday was, I'm trying to break in a new bench shirt, and so my oldest boy, he's my normal spotter, so he was working with me on that before he left for work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I definitely feel better in the shirt than when I'm doing my raw warm ups. But what's aggravating my shoulders more than anything is squatting.
Oh,
Monday was
getting
my
back on the bar? Yeah.
yeah. So Monday was my heavy squat day, and so I actually based what was on the program. I dialed it back some,
Mm,
uh, just because I wasn't able to really focus on form because I'm just so tight from the injury.
mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that's one of the things the physical therapist will really work on
Yeah.
tomorrow, is it give me some more exercise to do at home to help me with that because
Mm.
again, your body, whenever your body gets hurt, its response is to contract on itself to
Yep.
protect itself.
The,
So any movement
yeah.
that's trying to open up your chest and your shoulders, your body's going to fight against, because it's like, hey, we're hurt, we're protecting you, don't be a knucklehead
Yep.
and do this.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
So um,
Exactly. Sure.
that
How are you finding the shoulders with the shirt? Do you think that can the shirt protect them a little bit? If
yes,
you're getting the right groove, the right line.
it definitely, I think, and I'll tell you, Steve
Mm.
Petranchik, our coach,
Mm.
he has a little bit of different view because he hurt his shoulder, and he thinks he's no longer going to do, because he says that the shirt aggravates his shoulder because it's pulling. The shirt pulls you
Yep.
in,
Yep.
and that's with his shoulder issue. That's his problem, is getting the shoulders pulled forward.
Right.
Um, for me, I feel better in the shirt. I don't, even though I'm moving heavier weight, like 70
Mm.
kilos in my warm up raw is in 100. It hurts.
Right.
Um, but 150, 100, I think we went up to one. We only went up to 170 yesterday. Um, didn't I didn't even feel my shoulders at all. What I was feeling really was, because again, it's a new shirt. It's only the third time I put it on. It's just
Wow. Okay.
feeling the
Yeah.
chest plate. Um, so just that crushing feeling you get from
Yeah.
a new chest. Um, yeah, for me personally, I feel better in the shirt than I do raw.
Okay. I think there was discussion here in South Africa that in order to get our government to move quicker, we're going to make Parliament meet only in bench shirts.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Senate in bench shirt? You'll get stuff done in 15 minutes for the day. Oh, fantastic.
Well, they have to wear a competition sized.
Yeah,
bench
absolutely.
shirt,
Yeah, not a training
not a
shirt.
training
Yeah,
shirt.
competition. The US Fed sponsored by Inza, a Titan. That'll be quite a laugh. Yeah, we'll definitely get them. Listen, I think if we could get our politicians, every politician has to powerlift and has to compete. It'll be a wonderful mindset shift for them, and they'll start to build stronger alliances. Hey? Because when a Democrat's being spotted by a Republican, and vice versa, there's going to be that trust. So for the coming year, we've got a couple of competitions out here as well. So what are your plans for the rest of the year with comps that are coming up?
Unfortunately, Powerlifting America, because it's a newer federation,
Yep.
and again, all the demands that they have, every year, our masters and then the open equipped nationals is either the week after World Bench Press, or this year it's the week prior.
Wow.
Yeah, so that really concerns me for what my performance is going to be the following week at Bench
Yeah.
Worlds.
Yeah.
Um, Fortunately for me, and really any Texas lifter, bench full nationals is in Austin, which is a 2-hour drive for me, and and bench worlds is the same location.
Right.
So I'm not going to have to suffer through the time zone change and all that. But so right now, my intent before I injured my shoulders and before I saw the schedule was to do classic and equipped nationals. And I think we discussed this before, was that I kind of wanted to dispel the myth out there that a lot of not older lifters, but younger, I'm anybody under 50, I'll say,
Yeah.
believe that equipped lifting is cheating, and that mindset by showing, look, I can win raw, and I can win, or maybe that's probably being egotistical. I can compete raw, and I can compete at a high level equipped.
Right.
But with the schedule the way it is, and my shoulders, and again hoping to break the world bench press record, I've decided just to do equipped nationals,
Okay.
And then qualify for worlds for South Africa.
Okay.
So on the schedule right now, I know. Well, I don't know if I win nationals, then August is North American in Phoenix, and my wife really wants me to go to that one because her best friend lives in Phoenix,
Okay.
Arizona, and
So that's a
so
given.
she's
That's a
already got
given.
that time frame blocked off,
Yeah.
and we're going.
Okay. Fair enough.
And so, again, looking, worlds is like 6 weeks after North Americans.
Yes.
So what, from a training mindset, I will probably I'll peak for worlds, and
Okay.
then that the North Americans will be, in my program will be like a heavy workout
Okay.
type thing.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. So we're going to be getting to see you in October.
That's what I'm hoping.
Huh?
It's again, even though I had to dial back my squat workout
Yeah.
yesterday, I'm my 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 training weights. Again, Monday was a classic. I mean, I was squatting raw, but I've worked up to raw this year, like 220 kilos
Okay. Sure.
on the squat, and my whole mindset this year is to try to break some world records.
Okay.
My deadlift has made um, a lot of progress, raw and equipped, and so yeah, I think if I can stay healthy, which is always a challenge.
If you
You
can
know,
look
this
after yourself.
yeah. I need. I don't know if you remember those old cartoons where they had the little devil on one shoulder and
Yep.
the angel on
Angel,
the
yeah.
other shoulder. That freaking little devil, man. No, ignore that. That's not pain. That's just hard work. And
Yeah.
the angel's like, no, that's pain. You need to stop.
Yeah. They're like, listen, buddy. The shoulder's so bad they're going to go share a shoulder. So no, just oh, so I want you mentioned the younger guys not feeling that equipped is cheating or it's not really you. Statements like raw, it's all me. They don't understand the art form, the skill that the minimal the zero margin for error really of equipped. I mean, we can chat about that a little bit, like particularly like on the bench. If you don't get that line, for me, I can, when the weight's heavy and in competition, I'd come down and then the hands would sometimes do this, and then I'd have to press it out of that. You can't. There's no room for error. It's an art form, and I think that's why so many classic lifters move over to equipped, because it's a new skill, right?
Yeah. Again, when I started competing,
Mm,
there was no raw and equipped. It
yeah.
was whatever you brought,
Yeah.
and so I
Mike,
remember
you
the first
Mike, you're
piece of
giving your age away, hey? So
yeah, the first two pieces of gear I got were knee wraps and then a squat suit,
right.
and um, so for me, that's just how it was, and that's how I see it. But you are right,
Mm,
especially in the bench.
yeah.
If you fall out of the groove or the line of that shirt,
Mm,
um, you're not. If it's your opener or your second attempt, um, you may recover. But what I
mm,
saw happen to one guy at this last at bench nationals is, he fell out of the groove on his first attempt and used so much energy on that
mm.
first attempt that he had no prayer on his second, third. He was spent.
Right.
And it doesn't matter whether you're raw or equipped. Um, Once you've burned the glycogen stores and you've maxed out that muscle,
Yeah.
um, you're and you've got to keep going up to try to compete. You're not going to hit the weight,
Mm,
you have a greater idea of how much energy you're exerting in raw, because it's just you.
yes.
But if you're not in the groove, or you don't have the shirt set right,
Mm,
um, and like some guys know how to jack the shirt to eke out a couple more kilos out of it, um, and but anyways, if you fall out of the groove, then and now you're exerting weight, in your mind, let's say 150 kilos.
right.
You know that I can do this for 3 reps in my shirt. Well, you bring your hands down too low so that your forearms, instead of being stacked, are
Yes.
now kind of like in position forward, and because you had to touch lower because it's a lighter weight, and the only way you can get the bar to touch is to bring it lower, down on your stomach instead of like the bottom of your chest.
Right.
And now you've just fried your shoulders and everything else trying to get the bar back in the correct groove in order to lock out. It's going to have definitely a detrimental impact on your second attempt, and then it may not even be worth it to go for a third attempt, because now you're riding that fine line where you've used so much juice that you might get yourself hurt.
You can tweak something, absolutely. So, and also, as you said, there's the risks of a bad pass off. There's much less chance to sort of recover and protect yourself when you're moving that weight in a shirt. And another thing you mentioned, you said the line for that shirt. Different shirts have work differently. You have your competition shirt and your training shirt, but different brands, different models. You've got to remember how to move within that shirt, right?
Yeah, definitely. I have a Titan low collar shirt. I have the Titan regular shirt. I have the Ensor bolt. I have a few Ensor bolts, and how each one of those function is different. The bolt, the chest plate really is the collar, and that's what you're trying to break in. And you can't jack a bolt. You can't pull the front of the shirt down like you would on an Ensor.
Right.
As you would on a Titan. And so, and then your touch point is the shirt kind of dictates the touch point. So you've got to know, like on the bolt, you really want to try to keep your elbows out as much as possible, because you don't have a big chest plate like you do on the Titan. And because of that, like on the Titan, you can kind of like bring your elbows in a little bit more in order to get that final couple, millimeters to get down to touch on your chest. Where the bolt, again, if you start to collapse your elbows on it, you're really losing the tension, because again, your chest plate, the collar is only like this thick, and that's where all the tension is being built up. So, but again, it's just one of those things that comes with practice and knowing your gear. Having been, I apologize for going a little off topic here, but
no, not at all.
When I was a SWAT guy, or in the military, one of the big things is you got to know your equipment. You got to know where all your equipment's at. You got to know that it's functioning. You got to know how it functions, because something's gonna go wrong, or we say sideways. Something's gonna go sideways, and you got to figure out how to correct it on your own. You can't, when there's bad people shooting at you, you can't go, hey, time out.
There's no pause button.
And the same thing applies to when you're lifting equipped. You've got to know, we're talking bench. You've got to know how, if someone gives you a bench shirt, like, hey man, here, try this one. You don't use it the day of the meet, and you don't use it even. You need to have plenty of time to experiment with it, to see what it takes to touch. Okay, if I've got to keep my elbows more flared in order to get the most pop out of the bottom, because if I bring my elbows in order to get a touch, I'm losing tension, and now I'm going to have to work harder out of the bottom, which means I'm going to have to work harder the entire way.
Right.
So, and then also the how the shirt is set, and then using your belt in combination with that, so that, for example, like the Titans, their collar tends to be high, and it'll ride up and choke you out if you're not, so you really need to have a belt on, and then you use that belt to adjust where the chest plate sits on you, so that your first attempt, the collar may be up here. Your second attempt, it may be a little bit lower, and then your final attempt, in order to get the most out of it, you're gonna pull the shirt down, the shirt and the collar down lower, and then make sure your belt's cinched up so that it stays in position while you're going for that max effort.
Right. Sure. So it's it's almost like a different sport.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's like football and rugby.
Yeah.
They both have weird shaped balls, but
Yeah.
how you play it is totally different.
Completely different. Yeah. They both have a bar, but it's very, very different. Sure. How are you finding the squatting and the deadlifting equipped?
Well, the squat, again, I did it when I was younger, when I first got into the sport, and so it's this, because I wasn't competing this year. Everything I was doing except was pretty much raw.
Okay.
So what I found is trying to get back in the groove to use the suit has been a challenge. And I actually just sent last Friday, I sent my deadlift and my squat suit back tightened to get tightened up, because I've had them for a couple of years, and Titan even recommends, like, Mike, do you really want to spend a couple $100, or $300 for a new suit when we can tighten this thing up? I'm like, no. So I'm paying. They're gonna. So but it's the harder I think the biggest challenge for most guys and gals lifting equipped is deadlifting and getting down to
the bar. Yeah.
And then being able to get into a good position once you get down to the bar, because you may get down to the bar, but you're like the hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And so now you're not able to, you're putting your body, especially your back, in a really bad position where you can hurt yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's a deadlift, not a bent over row. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sure. I've seen, I'm sure we all have comps where the athlete just can't get down, and that costs him his place, and it's quite heartbreaking to see.
Yeah, I wish the IPF would make a change to the rule on the deadlift suit, where you can have the Velcro on the shoulders, because that would definitely alleviate some of that, because then you could just adjust it on the fly.
Right. So you could step off the platform quickly, adjust, step back on, and pull get to the bar.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Where you've got your minute, and if you can get it done in that time, at least give the athlete the chance.
Yeah, because I know I shouldn't say I know, but I believe, like, in the U.S., the USPA, and of course, like at the Arnold here in the States, where they have the animal cage, those guys, they use the metal suit was the ones that were famous for having the Velcro.
Okay.
And then like the strongmen, they use the Velcro shoulder strap deadlifts for their competition.
Do you think sort of one of the ideas for the IPF not allowing it is a safety point, that if you're coming up and the Velcro comes loose? Or
yeah, I honestly, I don't know, but I you've got these, in the world's strongest man competition, these guys lifting, they're Well, like David Shaw, he's
Yeah.
6'9", and
Both,
I mean, not
both,
David Shaw, Brian Shaw.
branch, but both ways, this way and this way.
Yeah.
His shoulders are also 6'9".
Yeah,
Yeah.
Martin Lisis, all these guys are using that, and you never see it.
Come loose. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think at that level, particularly in strongman, where it really is their profession, they're not going to risk a piece of equipment that's going to fail or go sideways, basically. So, but I was going to say, you're in Texas, Mike. You don't use Velcro; you use rivets. Your coach has got a rivet gun at the back. Straps you in. How have you seen sort of the movement either away or towards equipped in America with the younger athletes? Is it a cost thing as well, or what? Where's the movement going? Towards or away?
Well, for example, in high school, powerlifting is growing a lot in high school.
Awesome.
In Texas, we only have in high school competitions within the school system. It's all equipped.
Okay.
And that's really to protect the students.
Yeah.
Because the gear, does the shirt protects the shoulders and all that. But I think there's two things for people interested in powerlifting and wanting to pursue it. Two things that impact negatively on equipped powerlifting is one, cost.
Yes.
And so I mean, it's just, again, like a deadlift suit's $300, a squat suit's $250, a shirt is a couple $100. So and how many college age students and young people, I remember when I graduated college, I had a great job. I was in the U.S. Army. I was an officer, so I was making decent money, but I was also married, so I had responsibilities and other things. And do I put my money towards a squat suit or towards getting furniture and that kind of stuff? So, but another thing I see negatively impacting our half of the sport is Sheffield. And I love Sheffield. I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it this weekend.
Yeah.
But it's all the biggest names in the sport. Well, they're the biggest names in the sport because they're being it's being advertised and popularized.
Yes.
And as this is the epitome of the sport. These are the strongest lifters in the sport.
Okay, I get it.
And so it's like that's what everybody see that's going to watch the sport. That's what's being advertised.
Right.
And,
okay.
So I think Sheffield's great. I mean, I enjoy. I loved it last year watching it. I plan on watching it this weekend. Jesus Olivares is here. He's a South Texas boy. He's from West Texas, but he's been living in San Antonio for a few years, and so he's. And then the guys that he trains with, Mike Davis, super good guy. But yeah, and I guess there's three things. And the other thing, I really, and I watch a lot of YouTube. Being retired, I have that luxury. We don't have a lot of equipped lifters out there that are creating content and getting people excited about our side of the sport. So
Right.
you got in the States, we got Russell Laurie. He's just made the switch to Powerlifting America because he wants to get his world champion title back. And like I said, we have Jesus Olivares and his brother Pablo. They produce content. Mike Davis produces content. This up and coming, well, you got Taylor Atwood producing content, and this kid that wants to, I think, has a good shot at dethroning Taylor in the 74 kilo class. Perk, he produces content,
Right.
and when I get on YouTube and try to search for equipped lifting, I mean, it's like the content's 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and basically how to wrap your knees. There's a pretty funny one with this female lifter trying to get into a deadlift suit, and for her first time, and can't even grab the bar.
Right.
Anyways, I think that's we need some of our top athletes to get on the YouTube or the content media, social media content production, and get under the bar and freaking lift some heavy weight and show people what we can do.
What can be
and
done, right.
They would be in a great position also to discuss some of the, I don't want to say pros and cons of the two sports, but the differences in the sport.
I mean, the sports really are complementary, but from a technical aspect, I think equipped can become sort of where you want to be because of just how much you're testing yourself, and that's really what lifting's about. It's just we want to become better, we want to do more. Do you think also? I mean, the cost of the equipment is a factor. You've made such a great point with the social media, where there's minimal content in comparison. Do you think that we'll see an equipped Sheffield?
Well, I mean, not as long as SBD is the co-sponsor.
Yeah,
because SBD doesn't produce any. I mean, they produce knee sleeves.
Okay. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
And I don't know, in the grand scheme of things, Inzer and Titan are pretty small companies.
Yeah.
And I just don't know where. I mean, I don't know who the co-sponsor would be that we could do something like that. What maybe needs to happen is, there's different Arnold events. You guys got Arnold in Africa. There's Arnold South America, Arnold North America, Arnold Europe. I think what needs to happen is, and he does in his events. There's raw and there's equipped competitions, and that's, I think, where we need to, or not we, but Mr. Paraj and some of the senior leadership is, try to encourage them when they're producing the media content for those events that that the equipped lifting, get definitely a little more exposure than we're getting right now. Because whenever I turn on the Arnold, I never, it's very little on equipped. Our biggest U.S. star was a female star, Steffi Cohen.
Yeah.
And
Dr.
she's got
Steffi.
powerlifting.
I was going to say Dr. Steffi Cohen, please.
Dr. Steffi Cohen.
Yeah.
And she's she's into boxing now. She's not doing equipped powerlifting. So we don't have that face of equipped powerlifting that we had before her. And I don't know. I mean, we need to find that face, and then kind of like, you got Priscilla Bavoli from France is kind of the face of female classic powerlifting right now. But again, it's not. it's not up to the IPF to determine who the stars of the sport are.
Yes.
Because then, but we should be these young up and comers. We definitely, I mean, we do it on the classic side. We need to do it on the equip side, is encourage them to produce content.
Right. Yeah.
And then give them a play. I don't want to say give them a place, but I don't know. I guess if they're successful, promote them. For example, Powerlifting America. Whenever you see our social media advertising, like in Facebook, it's got top classic stars always on the advertisement, and there's not one equipped lifter.
Okay.
So it's just something that we need to I guess each federation needs to work to get better at, and then the IPF as a whole needs to try to promote it, because it's it's an expensive if it doesn't get bigger, it's going to die. Okay. Because it's expensive for the promoters. The promoters are what if they do a classic only event, it's 1 day. If they do classic and equipped, it's 2 days. So now they're renting space for like a major event. Instead of renting it for 1 day, they're having to rent it for 2 days. Yeah. And then if you go to a hotel, like we just had it at the Marriott, the hotels, at least in the United States, they require you to use a lot of their stuff, like their microphones,
everything.
And charge for that.
Yeah.
And then so now, and then we're asking Alico to provide 2 platforms worth of equipment, and so there's and then just buying the metals, and all that, and getting the referees in, and sometimes depending on the size of the meet, the referees get a stipend.
Yeah.
Or if not stipend, they'll get like free food, lunch.
Yeah.
So
and the spotter and your spotters and loaders as well.
Yeah, the spotters. Yeah, you got to feed the spotters, man. Those guys are working hard.
Yep.
So, anyways, if we don't do better at promoting equipped powerlifting, it's going to die, because it's just like too expensive for the people that are putting these events on, and that would be a shame. So I'm hoping, I'm always hopeful that we can do better, and because I really do, I enjoy it. I think especially for older lifters,
yes,
it's a safer sport than classic, and maybe that's where we need to place our emphasis. And one, the masters lifters probably have a little bit more disposable income than the younger lifters do to afford the gear, and to sell. I mean, I shouldn't say sell it, but sell it as a means to continue in a sport. You've got injuries and stuff, but because of the compression of the different pieces of equipment, it really does help you continue in the sport longer than you may have been able to.
You don't have to go to a therapist to get taped up. The equipment's doing that for you.
Exactly.
And I think Mike, it's such a great point as well, because the more athletes we can get into the sport, the more people competing, that's going to bring the cost of the equipment down, just because there's more people buying it and more people using it. So, that becomes a tremendous benefit for it. So,
yes,
I was chatting to a couple of the Brazilian lifters and saying, even the classic equipment is very expensive in Brazil, like it is within South Africa. And, I think South Africa, a belt is about 5,000 Rand. So that's about probably about $250. And that can be quite out of reach for a lot of the average guys are singlets as well. So when the import stuff becomes quite expensive and finding the right shirt. But if we work hard to encourage the sport and let people experience it, because I think once you've experienced equip, you don't really want to go back. Or you'll do both. You won't sort of drop equipped. I don't know any lifter that's done equipped and then stopped doing equipped.
Yeah, one of the things, I don't know the rules, but I think one of the ways what we could do is like, for example, the World Championships in South Africa this year is maybe we encourage lifters, like U.S. lifters, because again, the manufacturers are here, right? All the lifters, like, hey, if you have gear that you're not using as equipped lifters, and you want to bring it and then offer it for sale or give it away, whatever, to and then it's not brand new, it's used, but it's still, I mean, hopefully someone would get, if they're going to sell it or give it away, that it's functional. We can again spread the wealth to some people that just, to those that aren't as fortunate and have the means to buy brand new stuff.
Yes. That would be such an amazing thing. I mean, it's a brilliant idea, where you have the athletes from the countries with the established equipped lifting, also with the manufacturing. It doesn't just have to be Worlds in South Africa, it can be to any meet, where you decide like you're going to be either sell it or donate it to athletes within that within that country, where you can get a Nepalese guy coming to get an equipped shirt, or a South African guy, or someone from one of the other countries where it's a challenge to get. And maybe there's a way to sort of regulate it as well, where you don't have one guy coming through buying all of the gear and then on selling it for a fortune. It could almost be like a sponsor, an IPF sponsorship program.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I didn't even think about the part you just mentioned, where you see that happen in the U.S., for example, with sport event tickets, where you want to buy a ticket. Well, this one knucklehead is out there buying everything and then reselling it at some crazy price.
Yeah, so, absolutely. That's it.
That would be unfortunate that we try to do something to help the sport. For then somebody to come in and buy it all up in order to resell it at an exorbitant price.
I think what would work, you could almost have a booth, like a reseller booth, an IPF used equipment booth. And then, you'd have to, you can come in and maybe there would be an application process or something, or you couldn't buy more than X number of equipment. I think that would be a great initiative for the IPF. I'll chat to Hani Smith about that and see if we can come up with something. Because it's just a great way. You come to a meet, you bring your old gear, and it could be everything: belts, singlets, shoes, and then you upsell it. Here we have with the development part of powerlifting in South Africa, we have a very well-established development group, and they have singlets and stuff that they will then lend out to young lifters at competitions, and then it gets returned, it gets washed, and it's available for the next comp. There could almost be like what we call in South Africa a stokvel, where it's like a community warehouse where you store gear for younger athletes or athletes who can't afford it. They can come and use it, and then they return it. A gym can sign for a shirt and that type of thing, or just keep it simple where there's a way for athletes to bring through their old gear, sell it, and then through the IPF or through the competition organizer, and your local guys can buy it at a competitive rate. I think we're on to something here, Mike. That's fantastic. From your side, sort of anything else you'd like to talk about or discuss? Sorry, me readjusting. It's 32 degrees. So it was 37 degrees Celsius at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So it's probably about 34 in the studio. It's warm.
It's still kind of cool. Again, your body acclimatizes to the weather where it normally is. So it gets below, I don't know what for us, it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It gets below that and we're all like shivering. And I actually have my heaters on out here in the garage. It's still kind of chilly.
Wow.
I think one of the things that I would love to see, and I don't know, I mean, I'm sure the IPF doesn't move fast, but one of my concerns, again, I watch how strong that our lifters are getting. And we create, last year we had the new bench rule, which I wasn't opposed to at all. I as a person that has no flexibility, it's like, okay.
And Mike, if I may say as well, and as a gym owner, keep your damn feet off the bench.
Yeah.
Also not opposed.
Get off my grass and keep
get off. Absolutely. Sorry, you were saying.
But I think we really need to look ahead as an organization. This train is going to continue moving with lifters getting bigger and stronger.
Yeah.
And I think we've got to look at how do we protect our lifters with the equipment that they're using in the competition, and what can we do to make it a safer environment, and not just for the competition, but for their long-term health. So one of the things I've read, again, really this first one is on for the benchers, is I think we need to look at addressing the width of the bench, and probably increase the width in order to protect shoulders. Again, the shoulder is in the body, and everything we do is really the weak link. And so the current width was probably good, 30 years ago, when the odd specimen was that 100 kilo guy that was in a competition. That's not the odd specimen now. And then just the amount of weight, on classic, there were only like 3 guys that were over 600 pounds back in the old days. Now there's hundreds. And then you get into equip, and the numbers that the equip lifters can use, and just that support isn't there when the bench is only about this wide. So that's something I would safety issue I would like to see addressed. And the other thing is the bar. I don't know if it's the tensile strength, but it's the bar whip. Right. And again, you look at when I first started out in the sport, 600 pounds, was just crazy amount of squat. There was a few that were in the 700s, but very, very few. This past, when did I see it? Anyways, Perk, the 74 kilo young man, that's going to be going head to head with Taylor Atwood. He is doing 600 pounds. Russell Ory's in the 700 pounds. And then, of course, Jesus and a lot of these heavyweight super heavies are 900 and up. and you watch them when they step out with the bar, and that bar is just whipping, and it's really, for the lifter, it's dangerous. For the spotters, it's dangerous because they're there cupping their hands. You got 6 guys around or 5 guys around that lifter, and if that bar whips and for whatever reason slides off his back, or he dumps forward, because the whip becomes uncontrollable, someone can get seriously hurt.
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know if it's one option is to increase the diameter of the bar, to make it thicker. And again, the IPF is all about, there's only one bar for the competition. We're not going to have a deadlift bar. We're not going to have a squat bar. We're not going to have a bench bar. But, again, addressing lifter safety, I have no arguments with that. I'm fine. Whatever, one bar, again, you got to look at the guys that are put on the event, the expense that goes into that as well. So, but I do think we need to address that. Either we increase the diameter of the bar, or we task Alico and the other bar manufacturers to come up with a way to reduce the amount of whip in the bar as the weight increases. And the same thing can be said now for the equipped guys on the bench, because their numbers are getting crazy high as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you got, and it's probably a little more, even though there's space savers there. 800 pounds on a bar, and the bar starts whipping when the spotter releases it out to the lifter, is dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think those are the two things that I would really love to see people at the senior level of the sport look at and start planning for the future, because lifters aren't going to get weaker. They're not going to get smaller.
Yeah. They're gonna get big. One day when Jesus is like the average guy, average 13-year-old high school kid. But I said, Mike, that's if you look at Formula One, the safety is continually evolving along with the vehicle speed. They're adding the halo, and they're adding all of these different things. When I was in Hong Kong, we had a lifter. I think he was one of the Iranian guys who dumped the bar in the squat. And that was a couple of 100 kilos. And you have to catch that in a millisecond together, because if you're not doing your job, your team's getting hurt. And vice versa. And it's a terrifying thing. If you're ever feeling fatigued, just be in that situation. It's like making a double espresso with Red Bull. It's a great wake-up call. So, yeah, absolutely. Oh, man, fantastic. So, Mike, I just want to thank you again for your time. It was awesome to have you on. My commitment to you is I'll have this edited and out tomorrow morning, South African time, and I'll send you the link. All right.
Okay. Can I say one last thing before you go?
Listen, 100%, for sure. Listen, it's 20 to 8 in the evening here. I only have to be at the gym at 5 a.m., so we got time.
So, not only is Sheffield this weekend, but also in the United States, the largest sporting event in the country, and that's the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And my team, the Kansas City Chiefs, I have my Patrick Mahomes jersey on right now, is playing this weekend.
Sure.
For the championship. And so I just want to give a shout out to my team and to all those, hopefully, Chiefs fans that are out there that may see this video, that let's go Chiefs, beat the 49ers.
Okay, so go Chiefs. And if I'm not mistaken, the 49ers are from San Francisco.
That is correct.
Okay, not yeah. See, all of the American television growing up is paying dividends. Okay, listen, Mike, all the best for your team. We have to do this thing. Yeah. There we go. We can say go Chiefs. Or Mike, it's always wonderful chatting to you. Thank you. Huh? I really appreciate the time. It was good to catch up.
Thank you.